In the last stream, we were working on this setup over here to automate the production of these precision mechanisms as they are required to craft the final star shard, and we need quite a lot of these final star shards in order to craft enough final stars to beat the pack and craft the creative vending upgrade. And since the end of the last stream, this has been running quite well. We have 779 precision mechanisms, which is almost half of the total number that we're going to need to get all of those final star shards. I have made a few tweaks to the system between streams. I've changed the recipe for our Pretty Pipes network so that it now makes a stack of regular cogwheels at a time, much like it's doing with the large cogwheels as well. You'll notice, however, that we are running into a little bit of a problem right now, and that is that we don't have any regular cogwheels, and that is because there is a fundamental flaw with our current system that is also causing other problems around the base. Over here, I have made some small tweaks between streams because I noticed that we weren't actually gaining any EMC. We've been hovering around 300 million for quite a while now, and the reason that we're not gaining EMC is, once again, earth charges. Earth charges are required to make the improved mechanical essence, and of course the improved mechanical essence is required in order to make the inert advanced mechanical essence, which is where we're getting our EMC from. And so what I've gone ahead and done is over here, I have added 4 more phytogenic insulators set up in exactly the same way as the phytogenic insulator that we set up in the last episode, with 1 cyclic processing augment, 2 flux linkage amplifiers, and a reinforced integral component. All of these are chugging away, and currently we are backing up on gunpowder, which is pretty good, but we're not making earth charges. The reason for that is the same problem that's affecting our precision mechanism production, and that is that our EMC links down here are now just too slow. If we go and take a look in our crafting terminal over here and we look for Cobblestone, you'll see that we only have 52, and so the system is trying to make a lot of andesite alloy to make a lot of shaft. The andesite recipe that we've taught our system is the one that involves covalence dust and cobblestone, and so that lack of cobblestone is stopping the system from producing all of the andesite, which is stopping the andesite alloy, which is stopping the cogwheels from being made. And then the same is true on the earth charge side of things. In order for the earth charges over here to be made, we need the basal's powder, this stuff right here. The basal's powder is made from the basal's effigy, and the basal's effigy requires this dormant effigy, which requires calcite, which requires bone meal, and currently I think we have maybe 20 bones left in our system. We've got 17 bones here, so we're just not bringing these resources in fast enough to be used for the setups that we're trying to run here. And so I think step 1 for today's stream is going to be to try and upgrade, at the very least, the cobblestone EMC link, which is this one right here, along with the bone EMC link, which is this guy right here. And thankfully it shouldn't be too difficult to upgrade these. I'm just hoping that we can upgrade them to be fast enough to actually keep these systems running, because we don't have any improved mechanical essence, and so the highest we can go is, I think, like the 2nd tier here. Yeah, we can't quite go to the Mark IV EMC link, but right now we're producing 1 item per second. The Mark III EMC link does produce 4 items per second, so we are going to quadruple our cobblestone and our bone production, but we are using an awful lot of both of those for a lot of what's going on in the base, so it's quite possible that still might not be enough, but we will find out very shortly. We are going to have to make some more medium covalence dust as well as some more low covalence dust, but that is fine. Let's craft up a 2nd dark EMC link and then craft both of those into red EMC links, and then all we should have to do is grab a little bit of cobblestone and a little bit of regular bone, and we should be able to replace those down and hopefully start to get our production back online. So we'll do you, we'll say cobblestone, we'll say bone meal, and of course, as per usual, we'll set both of those to extract. Never mind, they are already set to extract. That is perfect. And so hopefully that does start to work. Another problem that I have noticed between streams is that I think this pipe right here isn't fast enough to keep up with the amount of stuff that our system is trying to autocraft. Many times here I've opened this ender chest, and as you can see right now, it's not pulling everything out instantaneously. sometimes it does manage it, but other times when it starts to get a lot of different items, it kind of struggles at pulling everything out all at once. So I think there are a few ways we could fix this. I imagine that we could put a few more ultimate logistical transporters around this ender chest, set them all to extract and connect them all up to the framed drawer. I think that would work, but I think a better solution might be to pivot over and try and use the item pipe from pipes and try and get a high tier pipe upgrade to allow the items to move very quickly indeed. So the diamond upgrade here is one we've made a few times. There is the netherite pipe upgrade, which I think we can actually do because I'm pretty sure we have netherite scrap and gold. We totally do. Fantastic. So let's go ahead and upgrade that. I'm fairly certain that this is a good deal faster than the logistical transporter. And so if we do this with the wrench, we can set you to extract. Again, by default, it moves 4 items every second. But if we put in the ultimate pipe upgrade, it now moves a stack of items every tick. And there are 20 ticks per second. So it can now move 20 stacks per second. And so I think for the time being and for the foreseeable future, we shouldn't really ever see any items in this ender chest, which I think is ideal and is going to make our system that much faster. We could also potentially look at replacing some of these logistical transporters here with item pipes and crafting a ton of these netherite upgrades to move everything from the crafters down to the system faster. But for the time being, we'll see how the current system works, and if it's too slow, we can always look at speeding it up in the future. We are still a little low on bones. I just saw it drop from 26 down to 6. Cobblestone looks like it's going up. Let me quickly check over here. Are we producing more of these precision mechanisms? We're not. We're actually at the exact same spot we were previously, which is less than ideal. Okay, so a little bit of testing later, and it looks like that is still not fast enough. And so I think we're going to have to try and shoot for a higher tier EMC link here. What I've gone ahead and done is I have temporarily removed the improved mechanical essence from this high retrieval module, so all of our improved mechanical essence should just stay in this framed drawer here. You can see at the top there, the only thing missing is the earth charge. I think we can kind of manually make this happen. It's possible we can steal some earth charges before they get taken out, and if needs be, we can also steal some of the effigies that are backing up in the other fluid encapsulators here and place those into this fluid encapsulator to allow us to make more earth charges. We can then drop those in over here. That's going to make us more improved mechanical essence, and once we have 4 of those, we can then make 2 of the magenta EMC links. But I think we can even take this one step further to the pink EMC link that's going to produce 16 items per second. Now, that leads us to another problem that we're currently having with our EMC setup, and that is refined fuel. So the problem that we're having here is that over in our compact machine, for whatever reason, occasionally the fractionating still decides to swap which side it outputs the heavy oil and the light oil to, but you can see that here, this is getting stuck because it's trying to push tar to this side, and this one is trying to push sulfur dust to this side, and that is not how it's intended to be set up. Thankfully, I think this is a fairly easy fix. If we just go ahead and grab a 2x1 drawer, or should I say 2 2x1 drawers, we'll take 2 of those. Thankfully, they are made in sets of 2. Less thankfully, as per usual, we never have any wood available to the system. That is fine. We can very quickly craft up some Minecraft chests, and then from there, craft up the 2x1 storage drawers. And essentially what we can do is we can just replace the current storage drawers in here so that no matter which side the heavy oil or light oil goes to, they can output the sulfur and the tar. So what I think we'll do is we'll get rid of both of the current drawers. We can move those over to here for the time being. We'll get rid of you as well, throw that down right about there, and then we'll do something like this and like this. We'll make sure that both of those have the void upgrades required, like that. And if I don't carry on, there we go, we can do this, and then we can just go ahead and put some sulfur in here and some tar in here. Fantastic. At that point, we can go ahead and lock both of these. And so now, no matter what happens, we should continue to make refined fuel. Obviously, it's not ideal because the sulfur that is in here is never going to make its way around into here for use in our fissile fuel production, but it looks like we are now making enough sulfur dust from our mechanism setup that we don't really need the extra sulfur dust from this refined fuel system. And so hopefully that is going to allow us to make more of the tier 4 improved essences. And I have also gone ahead and temporarily turned off this multi-servo press here, so that once we do get a couple of these advanced mechanical essence, we can use those to upgrade to that higher tier EMC link, at which point we should be producing 16 bones and 16 cobblestone per second for our Pretty Pipes network, which I'm hopeful is going to be more than enough. And there's 4 advanced mechanical essence. Let's go and turn you back on and see if we can't upgrade these 2 red EMC links through to magenta, 1 and 2, and then hopefully all the way up through to pink as well, 1 and 2. Fantastic. So we'll throw these back down, and I think I will also go ahead and upgrade these pipes as well, because I think the basic logistical transporters here could also be hindering our extraction speed just a little bit. So we'll do cobblestone, we'll do bone, and then we'll go ahead and do we have any infused alloy in the system? Of course we don't, Isaac. That would be far too easy. That's fine. We can just grab some iron out of our storage scanner, and we can throw that over into this infusing factory. And once we've siphoned at least one of those, it should just be a case of right-clicking on this pipe down here, like so, and that's going to make the extraction just that little bit faster. We could, of course, try and take it one step further and get some elite circuits as well, but I don't think it's necessary. You'll see that here, the basic logistical transporter had a pump rate of 2 items per second, and so really, once we got past the second tier of EMC link, this was kind of our bottleneck, whereas the advanced logistical transporter can do 32 items per second, which is, in theory, double what we are currently able to extract. And so I'm hopeful that, yeah, we should start to see our number of bones and amount of cobblestone going up substantially. I did notice that occasionally, especially when we run out of items, we do end up with a little bit of a backlog over here. As you can see, the whole system has kind of clogged. I did make this chest bigger to try and compensate for that, but what I found is that if I just take some of these out of here, usually, if the system has enough items to keep going, that the system doesn't clog. The system should be fine. The system usually works its way through the backlog. Yeah, as you can see here, now that I've taken some out, it is slowly but surely working its way through these precision mechanisms, and so the number is slowly but surely going down, which is what you want to see, which means eventually this chest will end up being empty again, and so we should be able to slowly but surely start putting these back in. Again, that should only happen, I think, if the system runs out of a specific resource for a long period of time. And so long as we're producing enough cobblestone, we should, in theory, I think, be able to keep up with the demand here. We're up at over 800 precision mechanisms, which is fantastic. And the scrap chest here is nowhere close to being full, which is very nice indeed. In fact, we could take some of the cogwheels and a shaft here and just throw those back into the system to allow our system to reuse those in the creation of even more precision mechanisms. Over here, we can go ahead and dump the rest of these back in, and that should slowly but surely continue to work through the backlog and continue producing precision mechanisms. Alright, so not too long later, I was taking a look at the dormant effigy setup again, and it turned out that we had the same problem with glowstone that we were having with cobblestone and with bones. I've upgraded the glowstone EMC link as well, and so now we are once again backing up on a glowstone, and now finally it looks like we are producing enough dormant effigies to keep this system going. In fact, we're producing so many dormant effigies that it's now the magma crucible here that is the bottleneck. I've gone ahead and requested more reinforced integral components to make that faster, and I did upgrade this retrieval module here to a high retrieval module so that hopefully the redstone dust is going to come in fast enough to keep this going. But I'm also just hopeful here that this system will start to back up. Again, this pulverizer could maybe do with being a little bit faster. It's possible we could take one of the flux linkage amplifiers out of the sawmill, move that over, and I'm hopeful that, yeah, we should now start to back up on earth charges, and I'm also hopeful that we are producing enough gunpowder over here. We have burned through a lot of the gunpowder that we had banked up. I think we were closer to 500 at the start of the episode, but I'm hopeful that now that we've kind of started to back up on earth charges, I'm hopeful that we'll also slowly but surely start to back up on gunpowder again. If we're not producing enough gunpowder, again, we might just have to look at upgrading to the next tier of integral components. These really shouldn't be too difficult. We've made Enderium, we've made Lumium, our system knows how to make hardened glass, and of course we have the mechanical essence and the reinforced integral components ready to go, so we can make that upgrade if we need to, and it looks like we might need to because we just burned through so many earth charges. Of course, over here I can once again add the improved mechanical essence to this retrieval module to get more of the inert advanced mechanical essence being made as well. We do have quite a bit of it, but it's not in the right place, and we're also just not producing enough of the refined fuel. So you know what? It might well be worth going through and seeing about upgrading a lot of our machines to the resonant integral components, because again, it's these machines here that are our current limiting factor. In particular, it looks like it's this fractionating still that is really the bottleneck, this middle one here, because we're producing a ton of crude oil, we're just not processing that crude oil fast enough. And so we could potentially look at getting a secondary one of those, because our EMC is still, I think, dropping slowly. We were up at closer to 300 million at the start of the stream, so we're not really doing particularly great here. Let me head back through to the overworld, and let's see if we can't make a couple of resonant integral components. So I can request that my system make hardened glass. That might take a while because the hardened glass recipe is here, and this induction furnace is kind of just full-time on calcite making duty right now, which is not ideal, but we can put the request in either way. Let's request like a stack of hardened glass, and then while we wait for that, I guess 48 is fine. We're probably out of nether quartz if I were to guess, because we actually haven't automated nether quartz yet, which is probably something we should look at doing. But over here, resonant integral components, the Lumium gears are super easy to make because we can just request a ton of Lumium like this, especially because we have a ton of earth charges, and so we'll click this button a ton of times. Every time we click it, we get 4 Lumium ingots worth of ingredients brought to us, and then the same is true for the Enderium as well. We can just shift click this recipe in. The only thing we don't have here is diamond dust, but we do have, I believe, a spare crusher lying around, and so getting a ton of diamond dust should be as simple as taking some diamonds out of the system and then whacking those into the crusher to get a ton of that diamond dust, which for now might just sit in the ender chest, although never mind, I guess we do have a space for it on the wall of drawers back there. That is fantastic. Let's go ahead and craft up basically all of that Lumium. Then let's go ahead and craft as many of these Lumium gears as we possibly can. Turns out the answer is 12, I guess 13, but we need them in sets of 2, so 12 is the number there. And then 12 is going to allow us to make 6 resonant integral components, which means we need 24 Enderium ingots. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Nice, we have all of the stuff to make it. While we wait for that to come in, let's head upstairs and see if we can't give this a bit of a nudge by doing something like that, moving this back up here, and of course giving that a light time in a bottle tap. That's going to make all of the hardened glass that we need and should send it back around to this crafting terminal. Fantastic. These are almost ready to go. We're waiting on that last ender pearl. Fantastic. We'll take you, and then over in here we should be able to make more of these components. Of course, we do need more reinforced integral components, and I did just tell our system to start burning through these mechanical essence again, and so I'm going to temporarily turn that off because we need more of them if we're going to make more of these resonant integral components. But I'll start with the refined fuel machines. It might also be worthwhile us getting a second fractionating still to process the initial crude oil here, because although we can replace this, right now it's using 240 RF per tick, with this it uses 320, so it is faster. Although now it looks like actually our problem might well be potentially the Magma Crucible, but actually the EMC link, once again, kind of a running theme for the episode, I guess, but the EMC link could well be what is limiting us here. These other fractionating stills are still doing just fine. Those are not going to be a problem whatsoever, but yeah, this here needs to be upgraded. It probably doesn't need to go quite as high as some of the other EMC links. Like, I don't think we need to go all the way to 16 items per second, but we might as well go up to the red EMC link here. I think that's probably going to be more than enough. Let's head on back through into the compact machine. We'll place that down right about here, and then of course we'll grab some good old-fashioned oil clumps from our system, right-click that on there, and hopefully, yeah, that should be more than fast enough to keep up with demand here. We'll see if that is any good. Again, I might have to look at getting a second fractionating still to process all of the crude oil, and that could also potentially do with a resonant integral component, and then we could maybe look at pumping the light and heavy oil out of those 2 or 3 fractionating stills into the other ones here to get that heavy oil faster. Not that I think we need a massive amount of EMC, I just really don't want to start dipping in terms of EMC. Right now we look like we're going up. I saw us go from 296 to 297, and so hopefully we'll start to see a bit of an increase. Let's take you, and let's also see how we're doing over here. Yeah, we're completely out of gunpowder. That's fine. Let's steal some of these integral components, and let's see if we can't upgrade those to the resonant variety. We'll take 3 of those, and we'll go 1, 2, and 3. That should make things a little bit faster. There are other things we could do here, because right now I have tried to set this up so that the phytogrow can be evenly distributed amongst all of these phytogenic insulators. However, you'll notice we don't have any phytogrow, and that's because the recipe for phytogrow requires niter, and our niter production is basically just this here, right? We're processing these blizzmotes in the pulverizer, and there's a chance, a very small chance, that you get niter as a byproduct. And as you'll see right here, we're actually backing up on blizz powder, so we're not actually producing any niter, and therefore we're not producing any of the phytogrow. Now, there are ways around that. We can, for example, produce niter using the pulverizer. There's a recipe here where we can put sandstone into the pulverizer, and there's a 30% chance that we get niter, and you also get 2 sand back. Sandstone, of course, just requires 4 sand, and so it's possible that we can, take cobblestone, process that into sand, take that sand, craft it into sandstone, pulverize that sandstone to get some sand and some niter, and then kind of recycle that sand to make more sandstone, all the while basically turning cobblestone into niter. That is something that we could possibly do. It's also quite possible that we could look at using the material stoneworks factory from industrial foregoing to potentially automate the production of sandstone. That might not be a terrible idea. I don't know if it's worth using the material stoneworks factory to produce sandstone, but I think it could definitely be worth using the material stoneworks factory to produce sand, and maybe even gravel as well, because right now, if we want to request, for example, a large amount of glass, the way that our system does it is it takes a large amount of cobblestone, it crushes it to a large amount of gravel, and then it crushes that into a large amount of sand, and then it smelts that sand into glass, which works, but is pretty slow and a little tedious. We could definitely make that faster with a material stoneworks factory. So the material stoneworks factory is a little pricey. It does require some pink slime, which we should be able to make. It's just a pink slime ball, which just requires 1 regular glass pan, and that regular glass pan, of course, is going to go into our dissolution chamber with the pink slime. We'll unlock the recipe, we'll throw you in, and that's going to get us the pink slime ball. We then do need another advanced machine frame, which of course does require that we go through the rigmarole of making all of the previous tiers of machine frame, but none of that is any different to what we did when we were making the Wither Builder, which I have fixed, by the way. The Wither Builder is now back online. You may have saw earlier in the episode, we are now spawning and killing withers again, and we're actually very close to the, I think, approximately 100 nether stars that we need in order to get all of the final stars, so that really shouldn't be too difficult. Actually, it might be a few more than that. I think we need 83-ish nether stars to get all of the final star shards, and then we need however many nether stars it takes to make the 1,600 nitro crystals, so it might be closer to 200 nether stars that we need, but those are being made and those are coming in, which is fantastic. But back over here, let's take out that pink slime ball, and then let's see if we can't make another advanced machine frame. We can. Nice. Okay, so let's craft that up. We need a diamond pickaxe. Easy enough. We need a regular furnace. Also easy enough. We need 1 more gold gear. That is fine. And I think that should be everything for the material stoneworks factory. Oh no, of course, we need a regular Minecraft crafting table. Boom. Nice. Okay, so this guy can go down, I think for now, probably right next to our sand like this. We're going to try and get this to produce sand and just push it into this drawer right here. And the way this works is that, of course, much like all other machines, it does require power. So we'll give it a flux point, connect that to the network. And then now we just need to give this lava and water, because if we look at the recipe for sand, essentially in the material stoneworks factory, the way this works is that by default, you can put lava and water in and it will produce cobblestone. You can change what it produces here, and depending on what you pick, in fact, andesite might not be a bad idea. It does require both lava and water to produce, but being able to make that automatically without having to require our Pretty Pipes network to make it for us probably would make our precision mechanisms faster. But starting with cobblestone, right here, you'll see that in order to generate cobblestone, the material stoneworks factory needs to have 1,000 millibuckets of water and 1,000 millibuckets of lava, but it doesn't actually consume any of that water or any of that lava, which is fantastic. And so all we have to do is get 1 bucket of water and 1 bucket of lava and put both of those in there. That is a bucket of refined fuel. That is my bad. I think we do have a tank over here. Yeah, that is full of lava. We'll take that out and we'll drop that into the material stoneworks factory. Boom. And so now this should start producing cobblestone. It does. And essentially, every time this progress bar fills up, the material stoneworks factory will do whatever action is in this kind of bottom slot between these two boxes. So right now it's taking cobblestone, it's smelting it into stone, and then it's smelting it again into smooth stone. We want to change this to crushing and then crushing again. And what that should do is that should take the cobblestone, crush it into gravel, take the gravel, crush it into sand, and then here where the yellow box is, if we set the right side to push, it's going to take that sand and push it directly into this drawer. And we should start to slowly but surely back up on sand. And if we wanted to, which I think we definitely do, we could then look at increasing the speed of this machine using these guys right here, these add-ons from Industrial Foregoing. There are speed add-ons, there are efficiency add-ons, and there are processing add-ons, and each one of these comes in 2 tiers, tier 1 and tier 2, and each one of these basically just increases the speed of the machine in one way or another. The speed add-on makes the machine like just actually faster. The efficiency add-on, I believe, reduces the amount of power required per operation, but the machine still uses the same amount of redstone flux per tick, and so in reality, it just makes the machine faster. And then the processing, I think, also works in a similar way. It reduces the number of ticks required to complete the operation, which makes it faster, I believe. So to make these, we don't actually have to make tier 1 before we make tier 2. We can go straight in with tier 2. So I'll bookmark tier 2 on all of these, because I don't think any of them are going to be too difficult. They're all made in the dissolution chamber. They're all made with latex. They all require 2 diamond gears, 2 redstone, and 2 glass panes. We then need 2 sugar, a crafting table, a furnace, and 2 blaze rods. That should be fine. We have 2 blaze rods. Fantastic. Do we have what it takes to make a regular Minecraft crafting table as well as a regular Minecraft furnace? You're not going to believe it, but we do. And then we should also have what it takes to make sugar as well. We'll take 2 of those. And along with that, we need to get ourselves 6 diamond gears, which we do have. Fantastic. We'll put 1 of those back, along with 6 glass pans and 6 redstone. So redstone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and glass pans, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. They move around a little bit, and I actually somehow only managed to get 5. That's fine. There we go. Beautiful. So we'll do 2 of you, 2 of you, 2 of you, and I guess 2 of you. And we'll make this just a little bit faster here. We'll then do the same again. We'll do 2 of you, 2 of you, 2 of you, and then we'll put the blaze rods in. And once that is done, we can do 2 diamond gears, 2 redstone dust, 2 glass pans, 1 crafting table, and 1 furnace. And all 3 of these combined should make our material stoneworks factory substantially faster. So right now, if we look in here, it is taking about 3 seconds to produce 1 piece of cobblestone. If we add all 3 of these, we're now producing approximately 1 sand per second. You'll see it's actually jumping straight to the end here. That might be what the processing add-on does, actually. It might just make these processes faster or maybe nearly instantaneous. And yeah, we now have basically free sand coming in here. So now that we have sand coming in automatically, I do think it's going to be worth getting the Nitro automation going here. So we are going to need a pulverizer for that. Thankfully, we can just request 1 of those. And then what we'll do is up here, we will teach 1 of our crafters, and we should probably almost certainly use this one back here. This is our crafter for recipes that only have a single input. And so in this scenario, we want to take some of our sand, and we want to teach this crafter that 4 sand equals 1 sandstone. Apply. And then, of course, we can take our crafting module and place that into one of these pipes. And again, teach it that 4 sand equals 1 sandstone. Nice. We can then take that sandstone, and using a retrieval module, we can then request that our system make sandstone and send it to this pulverizer right here. And I don't think it necessarily matters too much where we put this pulverizer. In fact, we could potentially probably actually use this one here. I don't want to use this one here just because we have other recipes that depend on this pulverizer, and I have a feeling that this setup will likely be constantly producing niter, and so I think what we'll do instead is we'll pick one of these drawers. For example, we'll go with the one next to burn, so this one here, and we'll make this the niter drawer. So what we'll do is we'll place down a pipe, and we'll put that pipe, I guess, right about here, because we can run along from this pipe. If we do something like this, we do want to make sure, of course, that we grab our pipe wrench and disconnect the pipe wherever it connects to a drawer that we don't want it to connect to, which is basically all of the drawers here. So we'll do one of these, and one of those. And if we just run this over like so, we can set the top of this to input, like that. We can place our high retrieval module into it, and we can tell this to retrieve sandstone. At which point, the system should just start making sandstone and sending it to the pulverizer, which is exactly what we are after. We can go ahead and connect that to our network, and from there, that's going to produce two things. It's going to produce niter, and it's going to produce sand. The sand we want to send back around into our system. The easiest way to do that is almost certainly going to be to just get another ender chest and hook it up to this same frequency that is importing to our system. Of course, we do want to make sure that we add sandstone to our crafting wall. Over here, this is now working, and of course, as per usual, we could do with making this just that little bit faster. Let's request a reinforced integral component. Of course, we are out of nether quartz. It is on my list of things to automate, but for the time being, we can go steal a stack of soul sand, drop that onto here, and as per usual, if we steal our hand crank, we can accelerate the encased fan, drop the hand crank on, and give that a quick crank, and that should very quickly turn all of that soul sand into a bunch of nether quartz. We can drop that back in, and then we can request our integral component. Of course, if we want, we could upgrade that almost instantaneously to resonant. Over here, let's see, do we have any niter? We don't. Now, the niter is boostable, and I think we could make a secondary sieve here, the auxiliary process sieve, to allow us to increase the secondary product by 15%. That might be worth investing in. I don't necessarily know if that's better than just getting flux linkage amplifiers and making the whole process faster, but we'll put niter in right about there, and that is locked. Fantastic. So now we can set the left side to output, and we can set the bottom to output as well. And I think all we'll do with the bottom here is we'll grab another ender chest, and then I'm pretty sure we have a diamond on the front of this. We do indeed, and so let's go ahead, drop you down, add the diamond to the little nose on the front. Fantastic. And we'll move that around over here. So I do want to make sure that only sand gets sent to the bottom. We do want to make sure that auto output is enabled. That should automatically push the niter over that way, but just to be extra safe, what we can do here is grab a pipe from the pipes mod, and if we can get ourselves a high enough tier of pipe filter, I believe the tier is diamond, that's this one here, the advanced pipe filter, we can do this. We can set the top to extract just as soon as we disable that. We'll set you to extract. We'll put in the filter, shift right click, and then in here we can click add. We can put sand in the top left slot, click submit, and now we've added sand to the whitelist. You can click this if you wanted to toggle it to blacklist, but that should now pull any sand that is produced by this into the ender chest, and then that should pull it directly through into this drawer over here. Now, I think I will put a void upgrade on that drawer. That does make it a little wasteful in terms of power. For example, when this fills up, this is going to keep going, keep using power, and just deleting sand, but I think it's necessary so that we don't end up filling up our buffer chests with sand, because I think we are using the sand slower than we're producing it. Over here, we have our integral component, and just for fun, let's go ahead and upgrade that to the resonant tier just as soon as we grab one of these guys. Good stuff. We'll throw that in, and then if necessary, we could also look at getting some flux linkage amplifiers as well. As I suspected, the niter is being pulled away almost instantaneously, which makes sense. That niter is going to be used over in the production of Phytogrow, but again, I'm hopeful that we maybe start to back up on gunpowder here, because right now, every one boom shroom spore is producing 2 boom shroom spores. However, with the Phytogrow, it goes from 2 to 6. Unfortunately, these pipes, again, are not really ideal for this kind of setup, and I might even go ahead and replace these with item pipes from pipes, because the item pipes from pipes actually allow us to round robin the items quite effectively. So let's move this down by 1. We'll put it right about here, and I'm going to move the storage drawer as well down to here. The reason for that is that I want to replace in the low retrieval module, like so. And of course, we want to make sure that's still set to fighter grow. It is. But then what I want to do up here is I want to grab those item pipes from pipes, and I want to get another one of the advanced pipe upgrades. That is going to allow me to extract from this drawer, but as soon as we add the advanced pipe upgrade in here, we can change distribution from nearest first to round robin. What that's going to do, if we take out all of the fighter grow that's currently in here, and we place that into this drawer, is that's going to distribute all of that fighter grow amongst all of these phytogenic insulators. And so, unlike before, where this one here was filling up before all the rest, and then this one would fill up, and then this one, and then this one, and then finally this one, now every single one of these is getting an equal amount of fighter grow, and so in theory we should be producing triple the amount of boom shroom spores that we were previously, and therefore hopefully a ton more gunpowder than we were previously as well. In fact, it looks like the redstone furnace is possibly now the bottleneck that's slowing down this entire operation, because for a second there at least it was backing up on boom shroom spores, but it looks like the delay between these being made might be big enough for that not to be a problem. But hopefully, finally, that might be enough to get our earth charge set up to start backing up once more, which is hopefully going to be enough to get us a ton of these improved mechanical essence, which of course we then want to send around over to here. And then of course, if we're actually going to make the final stars here, we need, I believe it was 1,680 of all of these. So we need 1,680 advanced mechanical essence. That is going to be tricky with our current setup. I think we're getting there on basic mechanical essence. We might have it, we do have it on regular mechanical essence. So both of those are fine. Now that we're making the earth charges faster, getting 1,600 improved mechanical essence shouldn't be a problem either, but if we're going to get 1,680 of these advanced mechanical essences, we're probably going to have to make this setup here a lot faster. Anyway, that is not actually what I wanted to work on in today's stream. That was just all kind of little things that needed to be fixed in order to get our system working. The thing that I really wanted to work on in today's stream was moving further towards the final star shards here. So there are 3 things that we currently don't have, or I guess 4 things that we currently don't have. One of them is the refined radiance. We need to automate and produce 1,680 of that. The next is nitro crystals. We need to make 1,680 of those. And then the final thing is ultimate singularities. These are not required for the shards, but they are required for the final stars. We need, I believe, 8 of these. Now, I think the ultimate singularities are probably the final thing that I will do, simply due to the fact that as soon as we start trying to make these singularities, we're going to start to run out of key resources that we're currently using to produce other things. Like gold, for example, we don't have 8,000 gold backlogged, and so if we try and take 8,000 gold to produce the 8 gold singularities required, we're then going to not have enough gold to make more precision mechanisms. We're not going to have enough gold to make the convalence dust, which is making the andesite alloy. A lot of our other systems are going to start to crumble if we try and do all that too early. So we'll probably leave this until the very end. The nitro crystals here should be fairly straightforward. So we need 1,680 nitro crystals, which means that we need to do this process here 105 times. So we need 105 nether stars, we need 210 blocks of redstone, and we need 105 blocks of blazing crystal. I think that sounds pretty doable. How many nether stars do we have over here? We've got 104 nether stars over here, and we might even have 1 or 2 in the system. We have exactly 1. Would you look at that? It worked out perfectly. There's 105 nether stars. And so we might just be able to make these nitro crystals happen. We do have these spirited energizing rods, which is very nice indeed. If we want to get 105 of these guys, the blocks of blazing crystal, that means that we need 945 blazing crystals, which means 945 blaze rods, or if we use blaze powder, it means 3,780 blaze powder. So right now we have 83 blaze rods, which is actually more than I thought we would have, but we do have 2,048-ish blaze powder over here, with more backed up back here, and of course more blaze rods available as well. And so it might not be a terrible idea here for us to just look at crafting up the 105 blocks of blazing crystal that we need, and then potentially just crafting these nitro crystals. Now, I'm not quite sure how long this is going to take. This recipe here uses 90,000 or 120,000 FE, and our spirited rods here can move between them 80,000 FE per tick. And so in theory, if we go with the top recipe, it should take about 1 tick to turn one of those into a crystal. And as you can see there, it is very, very fast indeed, which is fantastic. And so what we can probably do here is grab a regular old chest. And again, I always forget that it has to be an oak chest in this pack, not just a regular Minecraft chest. That's fine. Let's put one of those down, say here, we'll put another one down, say here, and then using these item pipes, we should be able to filter and extract what we need to extract. So we'll say extract here and extract here. The tricky part with this actually is that you have to keep one item only in the energizing orb, and trying to keep one item only in the energizing orb can be quite tricky. Of course, we could, if we wanted to, use the Pretty Pipes pipe and use a stack limiter. However, unfortunately, the Pretty Pipes pipe is not particularly fast. However, we do have the mod Laser IO installed. It's not one that we've played with, but it is another mod, much like Pipes, that allows us to move items around in fairly advanced ways. So the core of Laser IO is the laser node. This is made with a laser connector, and the laser connector requires a logic chip. The logic chip is easy enough. It's clear, a block of quartz, some gold nuggets, and some redstone. Blocks of quartz we are going to have to make. That is fine. We've got that nether quartz from that soul sand. Let's make a couple sets of those, and let's run all of that, of course, through our energizing factory over here. Once we have all of those, we should then be able to craft up our first laser connector. Oh, of course, they're just going to be sitting in the ender chests. Let me grab all of those out of here. Let's craft up that first laser connector, and then let's craft that into a laser node. And then we're going to put that laser node between this chest and our energizing orb. We're going to put it right there. And the way this works is that you have to basically tell the laser node where you want to pull items and where you want to send items. You can also do the same with fluids, energy, and redstone, but we're going with items. So for that, we need item cards. Specifically, we need 2 of them. And if you right-click these, by default, they're set to insert, but we can set them to extract by clicking the little button in the top here. And what we want to do is we want to open this up, and along the top, you'll see there are tabs for up, down, north, south, west, and east. And if you right-click on a specific side, it will open to that. So this is the east side. Over here, this is the west. This is obviously up. This one right here is north. You get the idea. So here, we want to put the extract card into the east side. That's going to create a little line, and that is now telling this node to extract items from this chest. And then over here, we can put an insert card right here. So right now, anything that we put in here is going to get extracted and placed in there. It does. And then that is going to get extracted over to here. Perfect. Now, it's not ideal because we're still going to run into the same problem where if I put too many of these in, it's going to stack these up and then that's not going to work. Thankfully, the Laser IO mod does have a solution to this, and that comes in the form of the counting filter, this one right here, which does a similar thing to the stack limiter from Pretty Pipes, but the benefit here is that you can make these Laser IO nodes much, much faster than you can make the pipes from Pretty Pipes. So to make this, we do need a basic filter. The basic filter, you guessed it, requires yet another one of those logic circuits. Thankfully, you do get 4 of these at a time. And boom, there is our counting filter. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to place the counting filter inside of the item card. So you can either take the item card out, and right-click it, or if it's in the node already, you can just right-click it inside of the node, and it will open up this little interface. The counting filter goes into this slot right here, and then if you put just 1 blaze rod in there, that is now going to limit this insert card to only inserting 1 blaze rod at a time. It's basically going to check the energizing orb, or whatever inventory it is you're inserting into, and if there is already a blaze rod in there, it's not going to insert another one. So now, we just need to speed up the extraction and potentially look at speeding up the insertion as well. So speeding up the extraction is easy enough. We can once again make a high tier of pipe upgrade, and I'm going to go all the way up to the netherite version here for the fastest extraction possible. We'll put that right about there. And then over here, if you want to make the laser node faster, if we go back to @laser.io, that is where these card and node overclockers come into play. So I believe all that we need here are card overclockers, and I think you can put up to 8 of these into any one card. For us specifically, I believe we want to speed up the extraction card. Let's go ahead and do something like that. And now, by default, this will transfer 1 item every 20 ticks, or 1 item per second. You can tweak this, so you can change this up to 8 by default, and you can make it slower, but you can't make it faster. Every time you add an overclocking card, that allows you to increase the amount that you transfer and decrease the speed. It looks like I was incorrect. 4 is the max, and with 4, you can increase the transfer amount all the way up to 64 and decrease the speed all the way down to 1 tick. And so now, this node right here, this extraction card, is extracting at the same speed as this ultimate pipe upgrade. And so over here, you'll see that that happened very quick. If I put a stack of blaze rods in here, those should hopefully get made. Look at that, incredibly quickly, which is exactly what we want to see. And so now we can kind of just throw all of these in here, and we're going to slowly but surely start to make a ton of blazing crystals. Of course, we also are going to use blaze rods as well, and so what we can potentially do is the exact same thing here. We can say over here that on this side, inside the item card, that we want 4 blaze rods to be held. And that's going to do the exact same thing in that it's only going to hold a maximum of 4 blaze powder, and if more than 4 blaze powder is available, it's only going to put 4 in at a time until it's made, and it's going to make more of those crystals. So we can just dump all of this blaze powder in here, and because it's all moving so quickly and because our power transfer is so fast, all of these are just getting instantly turned into blazing crystals. And so now we just need to get 15 stacks-ish of blazing crystals, and we should be good to go. And not too long later, we've used almost all of our blaze powder, but I think we are basically at the amount that we need here. I'm actually going to take some of that out just in case we need more in the future, but now we should be able to start crafting these blazing crystals into blocks of blazing crystal. I'll take as many of those as you can give me. Again, 105 is the number that we're after. Our inventory is a little cramped here, but I have also noticed that I believe that my inventories over in the storage area are also full. I think I need to make some more chests or upgrade the current chests. So we got 104, which is not quite enough, but we can drop a little bit more in here. And would you look at that? 9 is perfect. Boom, there is 105 blocks of blazing crystal. And so now, you'll see here, the fact that this didn't disappear is how I know that my chests are full. It means that the storage scanner doesn't have anywhere to put the stuff. And yeah, as you can see, these are quite full here. That should be fine. We can go back to iron chests, and we can make 2 gold to diamond chest upgrades. And if we do this and this, that should give us a little bit more breathing room, although we should probably almost certainly look at adding a few more chests to that system just to give us even more breathing room, so we're not constantly going back and adding more chests over and over again. But now we can actually look at these nitro crystals. So we have the 105 blocks of blazing crystal, and all I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over to the item card. We can get rid of the blaze powder for now. You can just right click or shift right click until that hits 0, and we're going to say 1 nether star, 1 block of blazing crystal, and we're going to say 2 blocks of redstone. So redstone we should have in abundance. We do. We need 210 redstone, which is just under 4 stacks. But if we put 4 stacks in, that's going to be more than enough. And over here, we'll say 2 blocks of redstone, like that, and that should start making the nitro crystals. And we should have enough here to get all the nitro crystals we need. What I will do is I'll grab another storage drawer. I don't think it needs to be a colored storage drawer, because this is going to be temporary until we have the nitro crystals required. But if we do this and this, do we get some as a reward? We don't. That's unfortunate. But essentially, this will now work. It's going to take a while, simply due to the fact that each one of these requires 20 million redstone flux, and I think that we might once again be pushing up against the limit of our energy cube here. You'll see that this can output a maximum of 102,000 FE per tick. We've got 2 sides connected. It's 102,000 FE per side. So 208,000 is the approximate max. You'll see that occasionally we do kind of surge up above that 200,000 number. And I think when that happens, I have noticed a couple of machines losing power. Earlier, when I was tinkering with my effigies, I noticed a few items moving up quite slowly through here because the pipe pressurizer actually ran out of power. And so it's quite possible that it might be worth, once again, us getting some more cable. The advanced universal cable can move 50,000, but we really do want to go up to the elite cable in order to maximize our throughput. And we did learn before that we actually don't need elite cable here. So what I think I'll do is I'll steal a couple of these elite universal cables, replace those with advanced universal cables, and then over here we can once again add another side to our energy cube. It's going to look real janky, but I think if we get rid of both of these, we can just put the cable right about there, and if we set this to extract, that should allow us to output up to 300,000 FE per tick without any trouble. And so yeah, I think that is probably gonna about do it for this episode of Mechanical Mastery. Next time we'll come back, I think those nitro crystals should be done. We'll be a lot closer to having all of the required precision mechanisms. And so next time, I think we'll come back and we'll look at automating the production of refined radiance so we can start working towards our 1,680 of those. And we'll also potentially look at increasing the rate at which we produce these 4 tiers of mechanical essence to make sure that we can get 1,680 of each of those. But once we have all that, we can make our final shards. And at that point, again, we're potentially just waiting on antimatter. We do have one more pellet here, which I think takes us to 4 pellets in total. It does, but that does still mean we have 2 more to go. And right now we're only at 360 millibuckets. That's going to come in slowly but surely. And of course, once we have all of the required items to make all of the final star shards, we can then finally look at getting the ultimate singularities as well. But those are all problems for future Isaac. For now, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode of Mechanical Mastery there.